Welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com. I am Bryant Balkman alongside publisher Andrew Jones. Today we've got you covered with another daily drop. This time the subject is NIL and the transfer portal, specifically relating to college basketball. We've seen the sport and the world of college basketball change in recent years. The transfer portal is an active place, as you know best, AJ, and NIL has become huge in the world of college athletics. And it has grown in just recent years. But the topic regards to the treatment of players when it comes to NIL and the transfer portal. Does the implementation of NIL and the increasing population of the transfer portal make it okay for fans to be harsher on players and to criticize more players more for their performances? And I'll let you kind of kick this off, AJ. What are your thoughts on this, and where do you stand? Because I know I have some thoughts as well, but wanted to see where you lie on this topic.
Yeah, this is sort of a tricky topic. We wanted to tackle it because this offseason we're tackling some tricky topics because we think it's time. And we have enough experience with NIL and portal now to know that things are getting harsher. And the more guys make, a few years ago, NIL was selling your shirts. Hey, I got a shirt to put the pitch, this cheap shirt for $12 and you make $5 off it and you're good to go. Or pitching something or whatever the case is. Now they're making absurd amounts of money. The amount of money offered to certain guys that certain guys signed for, they're more than some of them then would make it they were at the next level. Like look at Quinn Ewers, for example. If he would have gone into the portal, he would have made a ton of money in the portal. He stays in the draft. He's going to make a lot less as a late round pick in the draft. So there's a lot of money out there. And I think with the money comes expectations of performance. Yep. And I have always called college athletes kids. It's just the thing. Coaches say it. I say it. I don't know how much I'll call them kids anymore because they're making a lot of money. I used to make more money than every guy I interviewed. Now they all make more money than me. I have no personal problem with that. I think they should make money. I think they should get name, image, and likeness. But that's not the point here. The point is for fans to get agitated. Before, kids were trying hard. Fred, you're too young. A lot of the old dudes remember Fred Brown from Georgetown with the pass against Carolina at the end of the game. You've seen the highlight. Threw it right to James Worthy. And what did he do? Oh, he threw it right to Worthy. And Gary Bender doing the play-by-play for CBS the last time he did that. That mistake and John Thompson putting his arm around him, hugging him after the game and the tears. And then 2 years later, Georgetown wins the title and Fred Brown's out there in the court and he's the first guy John Thompson hugged. People celebrated that because they didn't dog him that hard. There obviously wasn't social media, but they didn't dog him that hard for the mistake. Now you get crucified, A, because of social media, B, because he'd probably been making $800,000 making that mistake. So fans feel more of an entitlement to go after someone if that someone's making money, and if they're in the portal and they're bouncing around and they didn't choose you originally and they're at their third school, people are looking at them sort of with a side look. I do think that it happens more. I think it's okay more for fans to be a little bit more critical of a college athlete today than 6 years ago. I also think it's a little bit more okay for media too as well. When I've covered a lot of pro sports. I covered the Carolina Panthers. I covered the Carolina Hurricanes, the Bobcats before they went to the Hornets again. I covered a little bit of Major League Baseball. Yeah, you got to say what you got to say. And I think we're a little closer to that in college now than we used to be because of the money, because of the expectation. And if you're going to shop yourself around for the bag, well, there's a price that goes with it, theoretically. It's not just the money. You can't be protected the way they were before. So I do think it's more fair game, but not as vitriolic as some of this stuff is. The stuff that Elliot Cadeau had to deal with this year was ridiculous.
Yeah, and I agree with your overall sentiment of there are a lot of pros for the athletes when it comes to NIL and getting paid and making money, good money. And in my opinion, I feel as if you are going to get the pros of that, there are cons that come with it. People are going to scrutinize your every move and things of that nature when you are getting paid money versus when you're looked at as just a student athlete who is simply playing out of school because A, he loves the school, he's playing the sport because B, it's for the love of the game. Two very different viewpoints that are going to come from fans. I do think that a lot of this has gone too far with some particular players, and I think there is a very easy line that people should not cross. It is fair to criticize a player's game. It is fair to criticize their mistakes or things that they did wrong while on the court. But there is no reason to take that into anything personal or anything that crosses the basketball court. That's exactly how I kind of view it. And also not to go too big of a tangent, but I do think a lot of this stuff does rise from sports betting with some of these players. So a lot of players a lot of it is somebody bets on them. They do not hit whatever particular stat line it may be, whether it's, money line or a player prop, whatever it may be. And people are in their DMs because they cost them money when they are the ones who chose to bet on them. Anyways, I think that's a big part of it too, is the world of sports betting has brought that problem on as well as NIL. But I think players their play fair game for to be criticized. Yeah. There's a way to go about it without being just rude and crossing a line.
For example, Ian Jackson late in the season, you would read the criticisms and they were very valid. Mm-hmm. Maybe the edge wasn't great, but people can be edgy some. But when they start weaving in his hair and his performance, I think that crosses the line. But I think if someone wants to say Ian Jackson sucked tonight when Ian scores 1 point and plays 21 minutes and has 2 turnovers, I think it's okay for fans to say that and even boo a player. You can boo a college athlete now. I used to hate boos in college. If you're making $2 million and you're out there playing and you came to that school to do a job, that job's to play well in your sport. Gio Lopez got a lot of money from North Carolina to leave South Alabama and play quarterback at North Carolina. His job is to perform. He's not at North Carolina for any other reason. He's there to perform for Bill Belichick. And if he doesn't, and he struggles, and Belichick keeps him out there, fans will probably boo. And I think they kind of have, they've always had the right to do that, but I kind of think it's a little more okay now than I used to. And I never thought I would get here. I've had some conversations with people I've known this business for a long time over the last year and a half about this. When's it okay? Because sometimes you're at a game and people start booing a kid. I'm like, man, he's just a kid. He's in college. He can be. No, you can't do that now. He's making more money than everybody in the stands just about, except the people sitting right near the court. I think the money is part of it. And I think the money makes it a little bit easier. Some people are going to disagree, and that's great if you do. Want to hear your disagreement and why. And I'm open to that. Maybe you might be able to take that it's never good to boo any person. Booing happens in sports. Philadelphia 76ers fans booed Santa Claus on Christmas one time. That's Philadelphia. They booed Mike Schmidt. Okay, the Orioles fans booed Eddie Murray. So you get booed. It's part of the deal, man. Like you and I do what we do. People rip us sometimes. Yep. Don't get in front of a camera. Get in front of a mic if you don't want to be ripped. And I'm sure we'll get ripped for this, but I think it's part of the deal now. And quite frankly, in a way, it's probably good for them. I loved how Mac Brown would give us full access to his players because it's helping them when they move on, whether it's in athletics or going to the next level or otherwise. Don't shield your players. When they play poorly, go talk to the media because you know what? In the NBA, they're allowed in the locker room. I've covered the NBA. That Hornet or that Bobcats team had the worst winning percentage ever. I've told you these stories. I walked in that locker room and I had to go talk to guys. They had to talk to you. They had the worst winning percentage in the history of the sport, and they still have to talk to you. And they have to deal with being booed by the fans. And they're getting paid a lot of money because even the guys on the worst team are still rich. So I do think it's okay. It prepares them for the next level, prepares them to deal with adversity. And also, if you're going to accept the bag, you gotta go with what comes with the bag.
If you're gonna want the pros of the situation, you gotta deal with the cons. And I do agree, 100%. Did not even think about your point of if you're gonna play in the NBA, you're gonna have to face the music, for lack of a better term, and answer those tough questions when performance may not live up to either A, what people feel what you're being paid, or B, what people think you should be performing at. So I 100% agree with NIL. Criticizing players and performance is absolutely valid, and I do think a fair thing to do without crossing that line and taking it, again, like you mentioned, into anything personal other than their players' play. Absolutely fair game. But we want to hear what you guys have to say. in terms of how do you feel about NIL, whether it's NIL, social media, transfer portal, all of this stuff where a player may not be performing up to their expectations, or they may leave to go to another school. You may have thoughts on their loyalty or whatever it may be. Is that something that you think is fair to criticize, or something that you think fans should leave alone? And yeah.
Last thing I'll say, and then we'll get out of here. Leave them alone. Let her rip.
Yeah, leave us a comment. We want to hear from you guys. Are we right? Are we wrong? What do you guys think? Love to hear from you. Give us some feedback, but like, subscribe over at Tar Heel Illustrated on YouTube. We will see you guys next time. But for now, I'm Bryant and he's AJ.